So here's the deal. You're all leaders, right? Which means you have people that follow you, right? Okay. To be a leader without a follower just makes you lonely, right, in leadership. You're leaders. Now think of it right now. Do you have somebody in your life that just doesn't get how great you are? You try to tell them, you try to show them, you're the bomb, and they still don't get how amazing you are. How can that be? Leadership, right? Now here's the deal. I'm going to show you a picture. One of my favorite pictures I took off the back of a boat in Aruba. Anybody been to Aruba? Great place. Any photographers? Okay, 3 of you. Well, the rest of you just have to deal with this picture. This is a picture I took, for real. Nobody believes it because it's such a hard picture to take. But let's see. This picture, when you see it, you're going to see 2, I don't know what we'll call them. Let's just say things in the picture. One of them represents you, okay? The other represents every other person on earth that you need to deal with in a relationship. You're going to relate to one of the things more than the other. And so when you see it, I want you to think, which one am I? And why, okay? You in relationship. By the way, will you all think of somebody that you really need to do better with in a relationship? Could be your mom, could be your principal, could be your parole officer. Who knows, right? It could be just about anybody. But somebody you want to improve the relationship with. Are you ready? Here's the picture. You and that person. Go. Okay? That is you and that person. Now, which one are you? You're the skinny one, huh, with the little waist. Look at you, you little petite. Look at that. Which one are you? To me, I'm the cow. Do you know how hard it is to get a cow that far out of the water? That is what I feel like a lot of times. Now, I was raised up in Salt Lake City. Went to a school you may have heard of called Highland High School back in the day. Yeah, thank you. And let it go. It was years ago. And haven't been there for years. In this high school, though, this was 20-something years ago. I was 30 years ago. Geez, 25 years ago. My parents divorced, okay? Back in the day when no one divorced. I was one of the only kids without 2 parents that would come to everything. Isn't that weird? Now, some of you today may relate to that, but I felt really strange. I felt like a cow trying to race a dolphin. Have you ever felt like that? I felt awkward. I felt weird. And then I realized, maybe it wasn't even my parents divorcing that made me feel weird. Maybe I was just weird. Maybe I was just jacked up. That's my favorite line. Jacked up. Now, you know why? Because as a little kid, I was in the spelling bee. Anybody ever been in the spelling bee? I was brilliant. I don't mean to boast, but I was one of the smartest kids in my private little school. I went to a private school in junior high. And while I was in this private school, my mom said it was because I was super special. I think it was because I had trouble with my math. I hated math. Anybody hate math? Thank you. Half of you probably. Sadly, interestingly, now they tell me all the jobs have to have like some math experience or science. Whatever. I got a doctorate and I don't even do math. Do you know how much that cost me, by the way? I had to pay for tutors and people to help me with statistics because you need that. It's horrible because I'm not a math person. I knew I wasn't a math person because one day I was freaking out, couldn't pass the math test, couldn't pass it. So my teacher said, Matt, I want you to go home. I want you to study all weekend. Come back. I'm going to let you retake the test. You're the only person I'm going to ever let retake a test, but I need you to retake it. You come back Monday. I freaked out all weekend, terrified because I can't do math. This is when I was a freshman, by the way. I hated it. And Mrs. Larson says, you can do it. Come back Monday. We'll take the test. So I'm freaking out all weekend. My mom's like, what is your deal? I'm like, I can't do math. And I have a test Monday. And she looks at me as one of the greatest days of my life. She said, Matt, relax. We're not math people. We don't do math. I'm like, what? We don't do math, Matt. We're Townsends. Your grandpa couldn't do it. Your dad can't do it. I don't do it. We're not math people. It was as if she had just told me, we have Alzheimer's. And I felt so relieved because I thought forever we had to do it. And I realized in my head, well, Mrs. Larson's not going to like that. But what does she know? She doesn't even know I'm a Townsend. Well, she knows my name, but she doesn't know we have this ailment where we don't do math. I was so relieved. By the way, notice what caused the relief? A thought. A thought that I didn't have to do something caused all this relief for me. Whoa! It was the greatest weekend. Relaxed. I watched TV. I played a video game, Atari back then. And I kicked back. Didn't even stress about it. Went in, Mrs. Larson, pressure cooker. She says, you ready for your test? No. I found something out over the weekend. It's pretty sad. She's like, what? And I go, I'm not a math person. And I remember she looked over her glasses like this at me. She's like, what? I said, I'm a Townsend, and we don't do math. Like I thought, hey, Parkinson's, I can't do it. You just throw out this diagnosis, I'm a Townsend. And she looked at me, and it was the weirdest moment of my life. And she stuck her little chubby, cute finger right in my chest. And she says, this Townsend is doing math. I'm like, you got to talk to my mom. Because my mom says, we're not math people. She's like, I know. By the way, she'd had 2 of my 3 sisters. And then she stuck her finger back in my chest. This one, your sisters I know couldn't do it. This one's going to do it. You're going to do it. What did that mean to me right then? No, you can't make me do it. You know what? She made me do it. I hate her. I love her now. But what I realized right then is it doesn't matter what you are. It matters what you choose to be, right? And I was a Townsend, and we don't do math, but somehow I got a doctorate and had to take statistics like 4 times. But I somehow got it, right? We can do it. The problem is, it's us. We think we can't do it. That problem began in me years earlier, like I was telling you, when I was in this private school in class. I was doing the spelling bee. I don't want to brag, but I was the 8th grade stud. And you know how studly 8th graders can be. I was the bomb. I was the hottest 8th grader in the class of 13. I could take all of them. I was the fastest runner. I was the best at foursquare and tetherball. Domination. So I'm sitting in the spelling bee. This school had 13 kids my age. I was representing the gentlemen. Then they had some really smart brainiac lady that was the girl representing the 8th grade. She's the one that actually won the spelling bee. I was the first up. Went through the first word. I mean, how dumb would you have to be to get out in the first word? That is so stupid. By the way, we also had all the way down to first graders in the spelling bee. They were the ones that would get out in the first round. So I got up there, second round. Matt Townsend. By the way, did I tell you? Stud. Tetherball champion. Nobody could play tetherball like I could. I was also one of the tallest in the school because they were all down to first grade. But you know what? Domination. So we're sitting there. My teacher is the one in charge. She says, Matt, I would like you to spell the word lion. And I'm like, lion? You mean like lying around? I'm thinking in my head. I'm like, can you use that in a sentence? She says, Matt, spell lion. The lion roared in the jungle. Lion, L-O-I-N. And my teacher's like, what? And all of the first graders are like, he spelled loin. And it was a Christian school, so everyone knew what your loins were. It was a great moment for Matt Townsend. So I became loin boy from that moment on. Loin boy. I'm not loin boy. I'm the stud. Tetherball. Loin boy. Do you know how hard that is to live down? When some first grader's like, you can't even spell loin. I killed 4 people. Nobody knows. That's a confession today. Loin boy. So I thought that was bad. Then, as if it couldn't get worse, I couldn't understand it because I thought I was a good person. But growing up, there was this girl. It was so sad. She was a beautiful, wonderful girl, but her name, she had a funny name. She was from another country. She had a funny name that when you're growing up my age, this name's not good, okay? And I made fun of her. It was wrong. I shouldn't have. But her name was Yoda. Her name was not, she didn't say it that way. She said Yoda. What's a boy to do? You're not supposed to name your kid Yoda. Everybody knows that. Everybody, except these people that were from another country. I was so rude. I used to walk behind her and say, Yoda is good girl is. It was wrong. That was stupid. That's me being a cow. I'm being a cow. How am I getting along with people when I'm a cow? So I got called into the principal's office, and he sat me down. Mr. Townsend? I'm like, he can't be here. My parents divorced. She's like, I'm talking to you. Do you know a girl named Yoda? Yes, I do. She's got a very special force about her. Yoda is very special, is. It was so rude. And he looks at me and he says, Matt, I expected more from you. I'm an idiot. Loin boy. Call me stupid loin boy. See, what my problem is, I'm a loin boy and I make fun of people named Yoda. What an idiot. I don't understand it. Then it was weird because sometimes I'd like pull out and I'd be really good and be really healthy and normal. And people say, you're such a wonderful boy. Have you ever had that? Like one minute you're like loin boy and the next minute you're like a saint loin. From loin boy to saint loin. Anyway, then I was in scouts. I was a young scout. It was my very first scout, what do they call it? Scout sleepover ever. Yeah, I was young. And I went to scouts, and when I'm at scouts, you do as the scouts do. But I was the youngest, so I didn't know what they do. So we were sitting there. Have you ever heard of a meals ready to eat, an MRE? Okay, meals ready to eat are what the military eat. It's kind of your food all in a can back in the day. They may have changed it now. Well, now what you do is, back then you just used to open the can and everything would be in the can. And inside the can were some crackers and some jam. The jam looked like it was in a tuna fish can. Okay, a can full of jam. And I'm at the campsite. We're all sitting around telling incredibly scary stories about the Loch Ness Monster, which I don't know if you know is totally true. And we also then learned about Sasquatch. And we went on a major snipe hunt where I think I bagged 4 snipe. I wasn't sure. I never saw them, but they say I nailed them. And so we're sitting there. Never before in my life had I been at a camp out. Never before in my life had I ever had a can of jam. Totally sealed. I just ate my crackers because I didn't know how to open the can. I was a new scout. So we're sitting around the fire just absorbing the ambiance, as any scout would. And I was done with my can of jam, so I just decided to throw it in the fire. Oh, yeah, sure. Well, you're older. I didn't know. Okay? Get off my back. And so I'm sitting there. It's intense. There's guys telling a story about Vietnam and how people were dying in Vietnam and how right when he got out of a helicopter, the guy right in front of him took a bullet. And we're sitting there like, no way, Vietnam. And then all of a sudden, bam! This explosion goes off and hot lava went flying and it burned everyone in the circle. And everyone's burning with red jam on their face. And it looked like blood, and they're like, my eyes, I'm burning. I can't feel my feet. And then all of a sudden, they're like, hey, this is jam. Who put their jam in the fire? I was so mad. Who did that? Who put the jam in the fire? Idiot. An idiot. Who would do that? I don't know. It's crazy. I had to lie. It was a great moment, though, because that's when I became jam bomber. And jam bomber for me was much better than loin boy. I'd much rather bomb people with jam than loin boy. So that was my life, and I felt so cool. I mean, who could be that cool that you burn half your troop and nobody knew it was you? Cool. That's how cool I was. Isn't that great? So here I sit. So am I loin boy, or am I jam bomber, or am I the Yoda mean man? I don't feel like I'm any of those. One day, by the way, on a camp out 2 years later, we're sitting in a tent, and one of my leaders isn't there. His name is Craig Perks. Craig's not there. And we're like, where's Craig? What's up with Craig? And all the leaders are like, don't worry, it's no big deal, don't worry, blah, blah, blah. Well, at the end of the camp out, they basically said, we got to sit you all down and tell you something about Craig. Oh, boy. What did he do? And they sat us down, and this is what they said. Craig had a seizure the other day and just collapsed. And they think he has multiple sclerosis. So I'm sitting there as a young kid, probably 14 now, with Craig having multiple sclerosis. And right in my little mind, by the way, the same mind that was the Unabomber, jam bomber, and the, actually it wasn't the Unabomber, let's just get that clear. I was the jam bomber. And the same guy that was loin boy and the same guy that made fun of Yoda, I had this feeling in my heart that said, you need to go talk to Craig right when you get home. And in my heart, I'm like, yeah, I don't know. What would I say? Oh, maybe I'll take him some jam. I didn't know what to say. What do you say to a guy that's got, some disorder that makes him have seizures? Sorry about your seizure disorder. What do you say? I didn't know what to say. So you know not to say that. I didn't know what to say. I got home, pulled up in the driveway, got that same feeling. You need to go see Craig right now. I had fear in my heart saying, I don't want to go. I don't want to blow that. The fear just said, don't do it. You'll probably blow it. You're stupid. Then there's another part of me. I don't even know what part it was. It just says, do it. Just get on your Schwinn. And I got on my red Schwinn bicycle, which had 10 speeds, by the way. It was a 10-speed. Nowadays, you need like 50 speeds, whatever. We had 10. Okay, and our bike weighed 50 pounds more. I rode my bike up to his house, didn't have a clue what to say as a 14-year-old, get to the door, and his dad's standing right there, and I'm like, I need to talk to Craig. And he's like, Craig's asleep. Oh, that's okay, I'll wait. Craig sleeps a long time now that he's got this issue. I'll just wait here. You're going to wait. Yeah. I didn't know what else to say. I just feel really impressed that I need to see him. Isn't that weird? Why? Loin boy? So he brings me in, he sits me down, and I just sit there for about an hour. Just sit there watching a guy sleep. Awkward. It was an awkward moment. Didn't know what to say. Kind of was afraid. I hope he doesn't wake up, but then I hope he does. If he doesn't wake up, he's dead. But I don't want him to die, but I don't know what to say when he wakes up. Then he wakes up, and he looks right at me, and he opens his eyes, and he's like, dude. He's like, I knew you'd come. I knew you'd be the first one here. I knew that. Really? How did you know that? He's like, I just could feel it. And then I'm like, say something, Matt, say something. So, what's a seizure like? Isn't that dumb to say? You know what? He's like, it was weird. Like you smell chemicals or something. Then we talked about smelling chemicals and having a seizure. You know what was weird? Is I could have said anything. You wouldn't have cared. You know why? Because I was there. So what made me so cool? What I said? No. He didn't even know about Loin Boy. He did know about the jam bomber. He had just recovered from the burns. I realized right then, it doesn't matter what you say. It kind of matters more just who you are and that you're there. Does that make sense? Sometimes as leaders, we're afraid that we're going to be the loin boy. We're afraid we're going to be the jammer. We're not. You're just you. And you know what? Sometimes I'm a superhero, like that moment, and sometimes I'm a big idiot that makes fun of people's names. Yoda. It's rude. It's rude to make fun of names. So which am I? Am I the hero or am I just the human? I couldn't tell. My life was filled with so many stupid human things. All my life is just stupid human things. I've learned a lot. Don't ask people if they're pregnant, ever. I've learned that. Okay? I've learned that. I've learned, let me check, do your zipper up before you speak. I learned that the hard way. Thousands of people. I've left a microphone on and used the restroom. Still here, still getting gigs, still speaking. You'd think a guy that wears his microphone and goes to the bathroom with like 500 people listening, you'd think that'd be a problem. Not true. I was escorted out of the building. But what the point is, you're you. You just can't be afraid of you. My favorite moment of all time, I don't know if you can believe this, I'm not very photogenic. And in high school, I ruined, literally, single-handedly, more dance pictures than I think anyone in the history of mankind. I'd take a cute girl, she'd take me to a dance, I'd take her to a dance, and you know how you take pictures, right? And when we used to do it in high school, they always made sure that you were taking pictures in front of like 4,000 people, because that makes it more comfortable for everybody. So I'd be standing there, and I'd be totally nervous, and I'd be thinking, you're going to screw this up. Your smiles are, yeah! Got it. Every time. Horrible. Till finally, I got this one idea. I'm sitting in a class, and this really cute girl, I'd been dating somebody for a long time, and I didn't want to take her to any more dances. Okay, she's costing me a fortune. And we're already going together, so I don't need keep paying, right? And so we decided we'd go with different people to this dance. It was the Halloween dance. And I didn't know who I'd ask. And I really didn't even want to go. But I kind of felt, because I was a leader, I felt like I needed to go. Because you need to go to support your school. And I was a senior, and it was one of our last dances. And this beautiful woman named Amanda came into a classroom. And I saw her, and I'm like, that's who you should ask. And in my head, I'm like, oh, boy, don't ask Amanda. You'll break her. Amanda was in a wheelchair. I had never gone to a dance with someone in a wheelchair. I was literally afraid I'd break her. Because you know what? Loin boy, duh. And every bad thing I'd ever done, every stupid thing I'd ever done started to come back to mind. But this thing in my heart kept saying, nope, Amanda's the one. Take Amanda, take Amanda. I went and asked her brother, what do you think if I take your sister to a dance? Do you think that would be okay? And he's like, why? What? I'm like, what? Why would you take Amanda? Like, what's your deal? What are you trying to do here? I just wanted to take Amanda. You're going to have to talk to my dad. Why? I asked. Why? I don't know, but we've never done this. So will you talk to my dad? Sure. Dad, I'd like to take your daughter to a dance. Why? What are you up to? Just want to take her. Is this loin boy? You still jam bombing people? No, I'm good. You're not going to make fun of her like you did Yoda, are you? He didn't know that stuff, but I swear he did. So I'm sitting there. He goes, yeah, come see me at my house. I had to go sit down with him at his house. You know how now you do all these cute ways to ask? Not then. I had to have an interview. A 1-hour interview. He wanted to know what I was up to, what my values were, what my beliefs were. What was making me make this decision to take his daughter? Now it's really common, right? Now you have handicapped or disabled people that are prom queens. That's huge. Look at how you're advancing. Back then, we saw him as so different. Even the parents saw her as different. Past the interview, he then said, I'll let you take her. but I have to show you how to use all of her equipment. And I had to learn how to run her equipment. Isn't that wild? So heavy. Took her to the dance. She went as a cheerleader. I went as a stud. Spelling bee, loin boy. No, I went as a basketball player. She went as cheerleader. We're getting there. Had a great dinner. Had to put her chair in and out of the car. Had to put all these pillows and things to prop her up. And we went dancing at the dance. And I had never danced with someone in a wheelchair. I didn't know how to dance with someone in a wheelchair. Somebody said, just sit on her lap. And I'm like, I'll crush her. I about sat on her lap. Tell me the news story that would have made. One person crushed at a dance. So I just asked her if I could just carry her because she's so light. And we just got rid of her chair. And the rest of the dance, I just carried her. And back then I was buffed. I could do push-ups and everything. And I could do like 20 of them, easy. And I carried her. I just carried her. And it was the greatest dance of all my history. Then somebody said, pictures! Da, blah! No! 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 I was actually saying that out loud. And she's like, could you be quiet? You're embarrassing me. And they made us take pictures. They made us. Notice the words I'm using. They forced us at gunpoint to take pictures. I so didn't want to screw this up. By the way, do you notice fear? Where's the fear coming from? My thoughts. Loin boy, you know how many pictures you've messed up? Do you know how many girls that now hate you because you've messed up their pictures? Bad. Okay. Just do it for her. Just do it for her. Oh, just take a picture for her. Okay. Carried her, went in. It's for Amanda. It's not for you. I wasn't thinking, don't blow it. I was thinking, make a great picture for Amanda. Make a great picture for Amanda. I shifted my thinking from me to what I call thee. Thee is the honorable thou, right? Thou, it's a term of respect, of reverence. I turned it from me to thee, to another person. And I did not want to blow it. I wanted her to have the greatest picture ever. 3, 2, I even put my knee up like that. Took the best picture of my life. Didn't know it. Thought I blew it. And those pictures came, and they were the best picture ever. You know why? Because that's where my heart was. The picture took a picture of my heart. It took a picture of my light, not my fear. It took a picture of me being me, not me being an idiot. Right? Our fears are what we become if we let our fears keep going. Your fears are not who you are. Marianne Williamson has a quote that she used that Nelson Mandela used at his inaugural address. Have anybody heard of the quote? Your deepest fear is not that you are inadequate. Your deepest fear is that you are powerful beyond measure. It is your light, not your darkness, that most frightens us. Who are we ask ourselves, to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented? Who are you not to be? You are beings of infinite worth. Your playing small does not serve the world. You were born to make manifest of the higher power that's within us. It's not just in one of us, it's in every one of us. And as anyone lets their light shine, they unconsciously give permission to other people to let theirs shine. When you live up to your light, you give everyone else permission to live up to theirs. The power is in you, in the thought of who you are. When you live down to your fear, you become the most base, scared, weird, freaked out, nervous, neurotic, anti-photographic jam bomber. None of it is who you are. You are a being of infinite worth. If you don't believe that, then you don't live up to that. The minute you think you're not worthy of it or worth it, you start to immediately lower the world. We need the leaders of the world to be lifting the world. We can't have the leaders keep lowering the world. We're all going to sit in that cow relationship, the cow-dolphin. And if you think you're just a cow, you know what? You're setting yourself up. You may be just a cow, but for heaven's sakes, look what you're doing. That's amazing. I'd love to see the dolphin grazing in the grass. Wouldn't that be weird? We can look at what we're odd, or we can also look at it with majesty. That is amazing. The problem is the power to do that is in a weird place. Have you ever heard of the pursuit race? The pursuit race is it's an Olympic race. They ride those bikes on the velodrome. Check out this world record. Sydney Olympics 2000, the world record was men's individual. One man, 4 kilometers, wearing tight spandex. The world record time was 4 minutes and 18 seconds. Pretty fast, eh? That same day, the men's team, they have teams of 2 and teams of 4. I believe the 2-man team had a world record of 3 minutes and 59 seconds. Same track, same day, same spandex, same bikes. They shaved 18.81 seconds off the world record time with 2 of them. How? Drafting and as a team. They worked as a team. Working as a team can give you more than working alone. The reason you're called to lead is not so you lead alone. Your job is to get other people to get more with you. Your job is to stand as one, but get another one involved with you, or 20 if you can. The equation looks like this. By the way, the name of that is called synergy, right? The whole is greater than the sum of its parts. Aristotle said that you and other people should equal more than the sum of your individual parts. The equation looks like this. You and another, if you're a leader, should be able to get 4 together. You ever heard of a plow horse? A plow horse, those horses that pull the plow, or pull anything like a truck or a Budweiser truck. What do they call those Budweiser horse, Clydesdale horses? They're pull horses, right? Have you ever seen those? Boy, yeah, you're young. I forgot. Well, they used to exist years ago. Now it's just cars and stuff. Pull horses are trained horses that forever were used to get all the work done. A good pole horse should be able to pull its weight of 1,000 pounds. You connect a good pole horse to another good pole horse. Together, those 2 horses, if they both weigh 1,000 pounds, should be able to pull 2,000 pounds, right? A horse that pulls its weight should pull 2,000 pounds if they're each 1,000 pounds. 2 good pole horses that are trained well together can actually pull 4,000 pounds together. How? Same horses. It's called synergy. Synergy is where the sum of the whole is greater than the sum of its individual parts. Aristotle was teaching us that. This isn't a new idea. NASCAR races bumper to bumper as fast as they can because it creates synergy. Cars racing and drafting with each other, or bicyclists drafting, can shave 20% off of their times because they're drafting. They don't just drive like that because they're Utah drivers. They drive like that because it makes sense as a team. Now, some people, though, can't get that result with others. Some people get that result. Do you see the difference? 2 people creating negative results together, do any of you know those people? If it's the same 2 people and sometimes they're 4s and sometimes they're negative 4s, what changes the value? It's not the person per se. It's probably the space between. Did you know the space between you and another person has a value? It's called a relationship. The relationship I have with you has a value. Working with you can be valuable in and of just you and the person you're working with. There's also a relationship between us. Most of us don't even pay attention to the relationship. We're so caught up in ourselves, like me ruining pictures. Or I could get so caught up in Amanda and serve and take care and make her feel safe and appreciated. And when I lost myself and got out of myself and got into the space with Amanda and she was in the space, we created something magical together. The best dance I had ever been to. The power of a leader is in the space between. The power of a leader is not in the leader. The power of the leader is not even in the other person, because I still need you to bring stuff to the space. There's power in the space between. Have you ever seen this quote? This is a crazy quote. It's the silence between the notes that makes the music. It's the space between the bars that holds the tiger. If you go to the zoo and there are bars and the bars are 4 feet apart, I would leave. Space is what keeps the tiger in, not bars. Make sense? And no one pays attention to the space. Until when? Until it's jacked up. Till all of a sudden there's 4 feet between the bars. Someone's like, I think something's weird here. Do you guys remember where that cat went? Look for the cat. It's not you being a student body officer or a leader, just so you know, that is the key. You can be a leader all you want. The key is what happens between you and the people you lead. The space. Every one of us has to work that space. And some of us have way too much fear in that space. We're afraid of our friends. We're afraid of our grades. We're afraid of our parents. We have personality things we don't understand about us. We don't even like some of our differences. Some of you know you're way creative and artistic, and you're like, I know, but I can't even throw a ball. And some of you can throw a ball, but you can't chew gum and throw a ball. And we sit there and we get so caught up in what we can't do. But who you are isn't what you can do. Who you are these gifts, this light, this insight. We get so afraid of how we handle our conflicts, our communications, where there's harassment. There's all these things that could create fears for a teenager. By the way, guess what? Once you're finally 18 or 19, all your fears will go away. And then they're forming into a neuroticism that makes you crazy. And we call it adulthood. The reality is, I'm just a grown-up you. In the back of my head, I still have loin boy flashback. I still have, don't make fun of people. You are rude. Only losers make fun of people. I still have these thoughts that cross my mind. Let me just teach you, though. That's what we call the smoke. The smoke is the stuff that ruins the space between you and other humans. Don't get caught up in the smoke. The smoke's never the real issue. If you're too afraid to be a good friend, to say what needs to be said to your friends, because you don't want to lose friends, guess what? You've got a problem, because the friends, just like the smoke, is going to shift. Wherever there's smoke, there's got to be fire. I want you to know 7 basic needs that I promise will help you create more character, more safety, more strength, okay? 7 basic needs to every human relationship. Are you ready? The real problem, if you want to have a relationship around for a long time, you've got to make people feel safe with you, okay? Which means you have to be safe physically so you're not harming them, socially so you're not embarrassing them, emotionally, so you don't, people can share what's in their heart. I had a client the other day that is suicidal, and would not go get help. And I had 2 choices: call the police on him to get him help, or get him to go to the emergency room. And I helped with my relationship of now 2 years with him. I helped communicate to him in a way that he would go get help at the emergency room. And he was hospitalized, and still is a week later. If my relationship hadn't been there, I couldn't have helped him. I also had to have enough guts to tell the friend, you need help now. I also had to have enough strength to call the cops. I know people that don't call the cops when cops need to be called. I know people that won't say what needs to be said. That doesn't make people feel safe. If you want to be a good friend with friends around you forever, they've got to feel safe around you. Physically, socially, emotionally. Spiritually just means they have the same or similar values to you. It doesn't mean you have to go to the same church. It doesn't mean that. It means we have the same values of honor and respect and sacrifice and honesty. Think of the people you're struggling with. Do you make them feel safe? Does that make sense? My wife, for some odd reason, doesn't feel safe with me. I don't know why. Socially, look at me. Look at me. It's because one time she bought me a pair of shorts. Have any of you ever seen cargo shorts with ties on the knees? Okay, I call them knee ties. I don't know if they're called that, but I called them knee ties. So she bought me these shorts at Costco. I had never seen the shorts before in my life. We went to Hawaii. I put on a Hawaiian shirt. She said, I had already been sunburned, so I was like just taking it easy. I was just watching ESPN and rubbing aloe vera on my burns. And my wife says, I'll meet you by the pool. Come on down in about an hour. We'll go to dinner. Sweet. She calls me. says, okay, you getting ready? You got to be getting ready. I go, okay, I'm getting ready. Start getting ready. I put on a brand new Hawaiian shirt. I had never seen the Hawaiian shirt. My wife bought it for me. And then I pull out these shorts I had never seen before, ever. Shorts, okay? And in my head, I'm like, hey, I wonder what those ties are for. Are we tying our knees now? Because I had never tied my knees before. And I thought, well, do they work? And I pulled on the ties, and the ties work. So in my little brain, I thought, I guess we're tying our knees. So I put these shorts on, and I'm thinking, well, man, how tight do you tie your knees? So I start tying my knees. And it's almost like you're not supposed to tie them because there's not a lot of tie to tie. But I figured it out. And I decided I'm going to tie them really tight because I don't want anything running up my legs. I'm just working it out. So I tied them really tight. And I'm like thinking, do you tie them above the knee or below the knee? So I decided to tie them really tight below the knee. Okay? Hot. So now I'm sweating aloe vera. I go pick up my shoes, put on my flip-flops, and when I bent over to get my flip-flops, my shorts came down. Which tells me apparently they need slack. So I untied them and I lifted them up, and then I tied them above my knees. Which was harder, not to brag, because I'm seriously built. And built like a motorcyclist. Built like a cyclist. Tied them all up. Got them all cinched up. Feeling pretty good about life. Got my tan on. My Hawaiian shirt. Grabbed my fanny pack. And my camera. Put my camera over my head. Carrying my fanny pack on the way out, I got this leadership prompting that says, hey, dude, you don't want to look stupid. True point. Left the fanny pack. Walked right out. I'm walking out, everyone's checking me out, looking me up and down. I'm like, aloha, 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 mahalo. And standing in the elevator, and these two little old ladies are just looking me up and down. I'm like, I'm not a piece of meat. And finally I said, aloha, and they didn't say anything. They must not have spoken Hawaiian. And then they got off the elevator, and I got off looking for my queen. As I'm looking for her, I see her across the pool, and I'm like, hello. And she was reading a book, and she lifted the book up. So she couldn't see me. So I got closer, and as I got closer, she lowered the book, and I'm like, hello. For you. And she lifted the book back up. She still couldn't see me. I got closer and closer. Eventually, she lowered the book in what I would call disgust. And her nose was flaring, and her lip was curled, almost like it would curl like if you saw like a dead carcass on the side of the road, like, ah. And she put her hands out with her nose flaring, and I started to feel unsafe. I'm like, something's weird here. And she says, oh, what are you doing? I'm like, what? She's like, Matt, you've got puffy pants. I'm like, no, I don't. And in my head, I'm like, you're an idiot. Loin boy. Here we go again. Here we go again. Why don't you just throw some jam and bomb her? And I felt like an idiot. She's like, Matt, you don't tie your knees. And my ego's like, tell her you do. Fight her. Do not let her win this. And I'm like, yes, you do. She's like, Matt, look around. Do you see anyone with their knees tied up right now? Anyone? I was looking. That day, no one had tied their knees up. Not one person. She's like, I'm not going with you till you let some air out of those shorts. Whatever, I don't care. I've got all day. And in my head, I'm thinking, I can't feel my feet. My feet are dying. I'm going to have black toe. I'm losing a toe right now. So we're fighting about shorts. That's what we call the smoke, right? It's not the real issue. The smoke is not about the shorts. I mean, the smoke is the shorts. The real issue is, does my wife feel safe with me? No. Do I feel safe with her? No, she's rude. She's rude. So we're finally, fine, what we'll do, I'll let the air out. Then we'll go out to eat. Then after, I'm going to go, I'm going to show you on the interweb that you're supposed to tie your knees. I'll show you pictures. And she goes, great, let's do that, okay? Let's go to courtjesters.com. Okay, and when we're there, let's buy you the hat with the funny little hangy downy bells and the little curly toe boots so you have the whole ensemble. She's rude. Do I feel safe with that woman? No. Trust. You want to have somebody that follows you as a leader, they've got to trust you. They've got to trust that you have character and competency, meaning you know what you're doing and you're honest enough to do it. A stands for appreciation. You want somebody around forever, they've got to feel appreciated, like you care about them their way. My wife feels most loved when I look at her. What? I feel most loved like if we touch her, if we talk. One time she says, "You never look at me in the movies." I know, I'm watching the movie. She says, "I look at you." I know, it's creepy. She wants me to look at her and connect with her. Weird. I just want to hug. If we could just hug, I could do it. R stands for respect. Respect, if you notice, has the word spect inside, which means it's to see. Do you see the honorable inside of others? Do you see their light, not their darkness? If you can see the light of the people you're leading, you will lead them somewhere else. Every one of you in this room are different. You bring different light. If somebody has dyslexia, we have to understand that's not who they are. Inside of them is this light. Emerson called it a divine spark. Emerson said every human being has a divine spark. If we all have a divine spark inside of us, shouldn't we respect that? That's what Gandhi respected when he wouldn't go to war with people and believed in peaceful resistance. Why would I fight someone with divine spark inside of them? Louisa May Alcott's father was Emerson's friend, and he taught the exact same thing. Inside of us is a divine spark. If that's so, Louisa May said, then why aren't all the women voting? Women should have just as many rights as the guys should if we all have the divine spark. Every great movement was a movement of that spark, understanding the divinity inside of us, understanding there's goodness. There's something about us that's amazing. That's what respect's about. V stands for validation. Can two people be right simultaneously? Yes. I love my wife with all of my heart, and she's mean. Sometimes I think. And she's really not, and yet she drives me crazy, and yet she doesn't. And I want my kids to be very happy, and at times I think they're too happy. And I think we need to back down their happiness. And so I try, and that makes them happy. Two things can totally coexist. Love and trouble can coexist. Our lives are always paradoxical, which means when you're talking to someone else, you can both be valid. E stands for encouragement. If you want to have somebody around forever, you've got to be encouraging them. Courage comes from the root word, French word, cœur, which means heart. To encourage someone, you've got to be in their heart. Last but not least is dedication. If you want somebody to be committed to you, you've got to be committed to them. Our strength, my friends, does not come from your positions. Your strength does not come from the fact that you're a leader or called to be a leader or you won an election. Your strength should not come from the fact that you play a sport or that you play an instrument. Your confidence should not come from anything other than the fact that you are an amazing, powerful light that can bring light to this world. Two quotes and we're done. One's a quote by a guy named Victor Hugo. Anybody heard of Victor? Victor wrote a book called The Miserables, or Les Miserables. A lot of you have heard it that way. One of the quotes he says is this: "We must be like the bird who, halting in its flight on a limb too slight, feels the limb give way beneath him, yet sings, knowing that it hath wings." One more time. We must have the confidence of a bird on a limb that's about to land, a limb that's too slight. And when the limb breaks beneath the bird, what does the bird do? It sings. Why does it sing? Because it has wings. Birds do not get their confidence from where they're perched. Birds get their confidence because they know how to fly. If I took a bird and a pilot and I hung them out over the Grand Canyon, one of them would sing and one would scream. Pilots fly airplanes. Birds fly principles. There's some principles: safety, trust, appreciation, respect, validation, encouragement, dedication. You should get good at living those principles. With yourself, you should be able to do all of them for yourself. You should trust yourself. You should respect yourself. You should feel safe. You should feel encouraged. And you should be dedicated to yourself. And you should be able to do it with others. Those are the principles that give you the confidence. Okay? One more quote and we're out of here. Anybody heard of Gandhi? Oh, good. We're learning. Gandhi has this quote basically that says, "You must become the change you seek in the world." If you want more safety in your life, you become more safe. You want more trust, you be trustworthy. You want more appreciation from your team, be appreciative. You want more respect from your parents, be respectful. You want more validation, validate. You want more encouragement, be encouraging. You want more dedication from everyone around you, then you be dedicated. You want more, you be more. Quit listening to the voice that makes you afraid. You know what's funny? Humans are the only animals that suffer chronic stress. Did you know that? The rest of the animal kingdom, they don't, except for those animals that live with humans. We're the only ones that don't live in the now. Right now, some of you are like, I wonder when we're going to get to the next one. Let's just be in the now for all of today. Listen to the speakers. Be present with them. When you notice your mind wander, get back in the now. The only time to be you is in the now. If you're obsessed with the future, you're not in you. You're in your mind. Your mind is not you, okay? You're awesome. You become the change. God bless everybody. Take care. Thank you.